All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. Apologies for the delay. I was having trouble getting the live stream connecting today. But I want to talk about Hurricane Ida making landfall on Louisiana on the 16-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And I also want to talk about Kanye West. His album was first supposed to come out on August 6th in tribute to his past mother, his deceased mother. If you guys are new here, I once did an interview with Larry Johnson, the former NFL leading rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs, back when he was signed with Rockefeller Records, when Kanye West was a newer hip-hop artist. And if you've never heard the interview I did with Larry Johnson, just look it up. Type in TFR, stands for Truth Frequency Radio. TFR, Gematria, Larry Johnson, or GematriaEffectNews, Larry Johnson. You do a web search for that, though. It should pull up. It's uploaded in a few different spots. But, Larry Johnson, he didn't open up about much, but the one thing that he was pretty forthright about was how he believed Kanye West sacrificed his mother for his fame. And again, he was around these people at this time. But what I want to talk about is how Kanye West, he became a household name beyond just the world of hip-hop at the time of Katrina, after Katrina. And that's because of the television event that he was a part of that got so much coverage because of the controversy that he was the centerpiece of. And for those of you who don't remember, after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, there was a big television money-raising event for the victims. And Kanye West was with the actor and comedian Mike Myers, who shares the same name as a serial killer. But he was standing next to Mike Myers, and he was talking about, racism in America and how the media will show a headline of a white family getting food from a store in the New Orleans area, and the headline will say, white family scavenging for food after devastation in New Orleans. But then he's saying, then it'll show a picture of a black family, and it'll say they're looting. And so he addressed that. But then the thing that really got attention was he blurted out the phrase, George Bush doesn't care about black people. And that's where the big focus was. And, you can imagine how the different spectrums covered it. Like, oh, what a horrible remark. Or, wait a minute, maybe there's something to think about here. And, the two things that will always stand out to me about Katrina is, one, for the week before the storm hit, the mainstream media only covered Hurricane Katrina, and it was nonstop coverage about the devastation this could do to New Orleans, a city that's already below sea level, a city with so much history. And for those of you who don't know, that city's built below sea level. That's why it floods so much, and we'll talk more about that. But for a whole week, they covered how that could happen, and then it happened. And then the federal government said they weren't prepared. That's why there was no planned response. And then they couldn't get in because of the infrastructure devastation, because they weren't there on hand in anticipation. It's like, well, wait a minute. How can that even be an excuse? The news media has been hyping up for a whole week that this is very likely this is going to happen. And then, George W. Bush, around that time, who was the sitting president, he said, you're doing heck of a job, Brownie, because the head of FEMA, his name was Mike Brown. That was another thing that was covered a lot. His quote at the time, you're doing a heck of a job, Brownie, because that's what he was said, right? And from people looking at it, they're like, wait a minute, how's he doing a heck of a job? There was no preparation. There's a city stranded. They're saying there's all this needless death. They're saying all these people are, in the Superdome where they play football and all this mayhem's breaking out there. It was like, how could that be a heck of a job? No anticipation, nothing but excuses. And then it did look, most of the people on TV that they were showing that were stranded and devastated were black. Almost everybody was. So, and then think about it. You got Kanye West saying George W. Bush doesn't care about black people. You got Bush saying, you're doing a heck of a job, Brownie. I always said as a child, why do we call them black people? They're a lot more brown than black. But really, all this stuff, you guys, is a sick joke. And even Kanye West, who looked very nervous. We'll go back and watch the clip if you've never seen it. We'll go back and watch the clip. But I'm going to show you how clearly today, how it comes together. And again, it further proves something that most people cannot wrap their mind around, even though it's all part of the historical record. But what I'm going to show is why his album is coming out in tribute to his mother. You know, like how a woman breaks water before she gives birth. You know, Louisiana's getting flooded with water again. But I'm going to show you how perfect this ritual is of the flooding of Louisiana, the release of the Kanye West album in tribute to his mother, feminine water signs are feminine signs, and how it just all comes together on this Sunday. You know, the big Catholic Jesuit day in Louisiana, part of the Louisiana Purchase, which was from France, where the Jesuits are from, who run this nation and so many others, and the entire world of hip-hop, which is why they dress up so many of their rappers as Jesus, including Kanye West. You know, Jesus Walks, one of his first big songs. You know, he had what? Through the Wire, that was his first song, that first single that was everywhere. And then it was Jesus Walks, wasn't it? And also there was the one song with the other Chicago rapper. Chicago, big Catholic Jesuit city, where Kanye West is from. The guy who raps fast, Twista. And maybe Jamie Foxx was singing on the chorus. I can't remember, but he had these 3 big songs. His album was called The College Dropout. I think I was a junior in college when that album came out, but that album was big news. And then Katrina happened right after I graduated from college. So Kanye West was like having his breakout as an artist near the end of my junior years. You're coming into the summer. All of his hit songs are coming out. He's getting played all over the radio. He's getting interviews. You know, he's buddies with Jay-Z. His story is that he worked so hard, he finally made it. And he kind of had like a more of a conscious message when he first started. It's definitely like all these artists, really. I mean, a lot of them seem to start out like kind of like, okay, that's a positive message, and then you're like, whoa, what's going on by the 3rd album? I guess something changed. But yeah, so you know, in about a year and a half after his fame in music, you know, everyone who's not really, you know, older people who aren't paying attention to hip-hop music and who the young new hit artists are, all these people who don't know Kanye West, they got to know Kanye West real fast because of all the news coverage after he said George Bush doesn't care about black people. And yeah, we're going to end up watching the clip, and I'm going to talk about the quote that's on the screen. But first, make sure we got this right here. Okay, it looks like we're good. If you missed this morning's presentation on 35, you should definitely check that out as well. Kim, we talked about how all the numbers that they report in the news with the rituals they do to us, they're all biblical, like Kanye West and Jesus Walks. But look at this, you guys. It's Sunday. It's August 29th, 2021. And once again, New Orleans, Louisiana, the city built below sea level, is in harm's way of flooding after the latest powerful storm that's coming in, as is a lot of Louisiana, and probably other states in the region as well, Florida to Texas. But in Gematria, flood equals 83, right? In Genesis 8:3, that's where the biblical flood ends after 150 days. And they're saying that today's storm is making landfall with 150 mile per hour winds, a number related to the flood, right? And do you have a wind measurement tool out there? Can you verify that it's 150? See, that's the thing. Sometimes they make this stuff way scarier than it actually is. It's the boys who cries wolf with the media. It's hard to know. You know, are they exaggerating again? They've exaggerated many of these storms several times. That just creates more confusion in people. That creates the mindset of, I'm going to ride it out. Well, if they're riding it out, but this time they're unleashing the deadly thing, you know, it's a lifetime mistake. It could be a fatal mistake. But again, you guys, what I'm showing is every time they do this to us, whether they over-exaggerate it or it's the real deal and it really messes up a lot of people's lives, like Harvey, which we knew to watch out for and what day to watch out for it before it happened. If you guys didn't know, on the 4-year anniversary of Harvey is the day they started hyping up this storm. Not by accident. We'll talk about why. But again, coming back to this, flood 83, New Orleans, Louisiana, city prone to floods because it's below sea level, 83. Biblical flood ends in Genesis 8:3. And with regards to Kanye West, mother equals 83, the same way flood equals 83. You're just running the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1 back to A is 26. Write out flood, write out mother, add up the letters, 83, 83. And guess what today is of Kanye West's age? If you guessed that it's his 83rd day of his age, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And he's the man who was chosen for this, symbolic speech that was laced with truth. That's what I also understood about Kanye West's speech at the time. I said, yeah, that's exactly right. Headline of a white family is they're looking for food because they're in a bad situation. Headline of a black family is that they're looting. That's exactly what the media has always done. That's what the media does with everything. They take something that's an obvious truth and then they put their spin on it and expect society to start nodding their head like, oh, yeah, you're right, media. That's exactly what it is. You're right. That's what happened. Yeah, you're right. Before that, I never would have said that was right, but since you said it, now it's definitely right. Rebrand the flu, lock down the world. Yeah, that sounds right. Who cares about freedom? Just like Arnold said, screw your freedom. The media says that's all right, so yeah, that's all right. Those towers, man, they came down like a perfect demolition. Steel frame buildings had never fallen from any type of fire before, and there'd been a lot of massive tower fires in the decades of skyscrapers, and none of them had ever fallen except for the 3 that went 3 for 3 on September 11th. Amazing. Who would have thunk it? But the media told you this happened, even though that defies the laws of physics and all the examples ever in the history of the world until the national emergency on 911 and a huge numerical ritual. And, even though it's just such an obvious lie, everybody nods along. And don't forget, after Katrina, at first New Orleans didn't break. But it was like the next day when, boom, people heard loud bangs. And then the authorities said, oh, that was just the levees breaking. You guys should have listened to more Led Zeppelin. They had the advice for what to do. They said, go to Chicago. They told you decades ago. Again, this thing of using the musicians and syncing it up with the rituals in the world, it's nothing new. And I'm just showing they're doing it with Kanye West in a big way with his album coming out about his mother on the day that is the anniversary of Katrina, where he made a name with more people than he ever had before by saying George Bush doesn't care about black people. And shout out to Neo the Hacker. He did a good video on this morning. But I don't know how old Neo the Hacker is, but I'd guess he's somewhere between at least 10 and 15 years younger than me. So he was barely alive when Katrina happened, as I imagine. But he did a great video, but he missed the whole thing with how this is synced up with the storm. And that's what this is all about, and the coming storm. And for those of you guys who are new here, again, we're going to really break down this Gematria thing, how simple it is and how relevant it is. And just understand, what I'm showing today is nothing new. This is what goes on all the time. But look at this. Right before I got on here, something that's not part of my post that we're going to go over, because there's a lot more to my post. I wanted to go back and see what day it was that Kanye West said George Bush doesn't care about black people. And we'll watch this clip here in just a moment. But Democracy Now! Did a special on this, and I think they did a more recent interview with Kanye West, but they did it on the 10-year anniversary, and so they have the date here that Kanye West spoke out. It was September 2nd, 2005, right? September 2nd, 2005. And that date can be written 2/9, like the 29th. Remember, black has the gematria of 29, right? In the most simple cipher, the alphabetic order, black is 29, right? So on September 2nd, 2/9, he's speaking out about the storm that hit the predominantly black city. I got to talk more about what. If you guys didn't watch when I went down to New Orleans last year, at the beginning of last year, to educate about all the ritual murders for the LSU championship, I was walking past a church, you guys, right down in the French Quarter by where all the tourists are. It's just right outside of the touristy area, just blocks from there, not far of a walk, 5 minutes maybe. But there's a church, and on there outside there's a big plaque that says, blacks first allowed to attend service at this church in 1842. 42, right? NOLA, what they call the city often, is 42. Again, slavery, the N-word, and a million more numbers that connect to black history equal 42, including the name Jackie, who wore 42. It's a big long list with 42. But NOLA, the acronym for New Orleans, that you see all over the city. You go down, NOLA's written in more places than the city name. But NOLA's a 42 as well. So again, this was the perfect city for the ritual. And again, I'm showing why Kanye West was the chosen symbol. Look at this. September 2nd, Kanye West's birthday is June 8th, right? A date that can be written 6/8 or 8/6. With regards to 8-6, it was 86 days after his birthday that he did this and made himself a name with a lot of people. A lot of people never heard the name Kanye West before this, which became a big news story at the time. Huge center of focus and controversy. Because, again, they want to focus on the divisions of society, race being one of the things that the same mainstream has programmed us to divide over. But 86 days after his 8-6 birthday, right? And that's the symbol number. Symbol 86. Triangle 86. Pyramid 86. Things that are symbolic. The US dollar bill with the pyramid. Triangular shape. The all-seeing eye on the top. Famous symbols. And by the way, if you're new here, the alphabetic order is the most simple cipher where all of those words are 86. What's considered the most pure cipher is the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, and what's on top of the pyramid on the dollar bill is the Eye of Providence, which is also 86. The all-seeing eye, the mind's eye. If you missed my video this morning, it was about the significance of 35 and the eye and the Catholic Church and the Holy See and the all-seeing eye and the Vatican and how they use media and celebrities as symbols to program the mind's eye of the masses. So hours after that, Kanye West's album dropped, and we have another perfect example just hours later to prove all the points that we're making and how this code is laid down and how it's all biblical. Genesis 3:5 about the eyes, right? Good and evil. Kanye West, Jesus Walks, an artist who started out seemingly more good and then has gravitated more towards evil with, his lyrics and what his content's about, Doesn't he have what song is it? There's some song where he's like, there's like a song where he's bragging about his dick size. I think it's called, it might be like one with other artists. I think it's like Blessings. Blessed? Is it Blessed? It's just like, come on, man. You started out with like rapping about, things that people should actually think about. Now your lyrics are about, she's having a fish fillet and how big your dick is. I mean, okay. What happened to Jesus Walks? You think Jesus Walks would do the record where that's the content? She's like, you know what? Fuck everything that's worth preaching about. I got a pretty big dick, and I'll just order her a fish fillet and make a little rhyme about it. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's go through all this again, top to bottom. Genesis 8:3, where the biblical flood ends after 150 days. They're saying Louisiana and NOLA are about to get pounded by Ida. And again, this is on the anniversary of Katrina, which did the same thing to the state. And again, Genesis 8:3, the flood. In Gematria, flood 83. New Orleans, Louisiana, 83. Mother 83, also 29. On the 29th, we get a story about a flood on the anniversary of Katrina, where Kanye West, he made a big name for himself afterwards. So Kanye West, coincidentally, the album was supposed to come out August 6th, 8-6. There's that 86 again, right? It's about his mother. The phrase blood sacrifice and human sacrifice equal 86 as well. The 13 U.S. soldiers that'll come home in the 13 stripes, wrapped around their casket. They died 86 days from Joe Biden's birthday in a big symbolic event. And again, you guys, this is why you have to know what we call the base ciphers. If you write out Eye of Providence, you see how it's 86 and 238? The day that happened at the airport, it was the 238th day of the year, 86 days from Joe Biden's birthday. Eye of Providence, all-seeing eye, controlling the mind's eye of the masses with symbols, stories, numerical rituals, So again, this comes on Kanye West's 83rd day of his age. Man, it comes on a 44 date while he's 44 years old. August 29th, 2005 had a life lesson number of 44, right? So the mayor at the time, what was his name? His name was Mr. 44. And the Saints won Super Bowl 44 right after. And then Will Smith died in a big ritual on the same day. Will Smith, the actor, got the Lifetime Achievement Award at the MTV Music Awards. Right after Will Smith did the movie about numerology and gambling and football. On the same night he's getting the Lifetime Achievement Awards with the gold and black set that looked just like the Saints colors. Will Smith of the Saints is dying. The number 44 is fateful in black history. MLK killed on 4-4. Malcolm X killed on a date with a life lesson number of 44. Again, his assassin got 44 years in prison. MLK's assassin died 44 days after his birthday. Words like kill and execution are 44. And so you have Kanye 44 right now while they're doing this ritual. 44 was a big number with Katrina. And again, I've covered all this stuff. I have a big book with all this stuff about Katrina. Huge chapter in there on weather warfare and why it was admitted to in 1952 by the Royal Air Force after the Lynmouth flood that was caused by a military experiment. But that's how they do it, you guys. And I guarantee you, whenever Kanye West, signed his life on the line to be famous and get all that comes with it, the wealth, the fame, the beautiful wife. Some people say, that's a man. You guys can say that's a man all you want. I am pretty sure that's not a man. That supposed man did a porn video. I mean, the information's out there. The research is out there. Again, there's a lot of transgenders in the world, and who knows, maybe there's surgeries beyond what's known, but yeah, just some people are being accused of being transgender that I'm pretty sure are not transgender, and I'm pretty sure you guys are making too many assumptions, and you should stick more to facts. So I just got to throw that out there too. But yeah, this comes out on a Sunday, right? On a Sunday, and there's a few points to make about here. Today, August 29th, 2021 is a date with 78 numerology, right? In the base ciphers, notice how Sunday and Jesuit are a perfect overlap in 3 out of the 4. Alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, reverse alphabetic order. And almost a year ago to the day, I was making this same point. Last year, John Thompson, the first black college basketball coach to win the championship with Jesuit Georgetown, that's who owns all these people. The Jesuits own Kanye West, they own John Thompson, they own the world of rigged sports, college and pro, which they absolutely are. NCAA, totally rigged. And again, they do everything by ritual, including off these people by the numbers. But last year, John Thompson died at age 78 on a Sunday, on a date with 78 numerology. So here we are a year later. It's a Sunday again, it's 78 date numerology. Now, instead of John Thompson, and remember, John Thompson won the first college championship in 84 with Jesuit Georgetown. Notice how Jesuit and Sunday. 84 with the alphabetic order, 78 with the reverse, right? Jesuit Georgetown paid reparations this year, $100,000. And again, this is the divide and conquer gang. Jesuit 42, Georgetown 42, slavery 42, Tuskegee 42, and the list goes on a million more times. Martin 42, Martin Luther King Jr., not his birth name, assassinated in a huge Jesuit ritual paying tribute to the 95 Theses written by the actual Martin Luther. That was in 68, like MLK was assassinated in 68, like Kanye's birthday can be written 6-8, like Barack Obama equals 68, the 44th president. Again, all these things are related. Obama from Chicago, Kanye from Chicago, Jesuit Catholic stronghold. Chicago, let me show you how Catholic Chicago is. Look at the gematria of Chicago. You see the 4635, you see that? And look at Chicago, Illinois. You see the 145. So we have 145, we have 46, we have 35. Look at Catholic. We have 46, 35, 145. And again, it's all biblical. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, 145 more chapters in it than the Protestant Old Testament. The Protestants is because of the 95 Theses, which the Jesuits are aimed against. But the entire language coded out, and you can see why certain cities are used more so than others. Here, I'll finish this point, and then I'll tell you a few more things. So today with the 78 numerology, Hurricane Ida equals 78, right? They introduced this as Tropical Storm Ida on the 239th day of the year, August 27th. That's the day it started getting big in the headlines about Ida. On the 4-year anniversary of Harvey flooding Texas, which again was on the 20-year anniversary of Stevie Ray Vaughan, very famous guitarist, dying in a suspicious way whose best-selling album of all time was Texas Flood. And then 20 years later to the day, Texas is flooded, and Flood is 20, right? Well, you see how Flood's 25 in the most pure? When I play the clip in a minute of Kanye West and Mike Myers, I want you to hear about Mike Myers talk about under 25 feet of water as part of his script. They got the actor up there reading the script. Kanye West, I don't know if Kanye West was speaking off the cuff or he got to prepare his own notes. You could tell he was nervous, though. We're going to watch the clip. You'll see how nervous Kanye West was as he delivered his lines. He's a newer guy, younger guy, probably knew what he was doing was pretty edgy. You can see how nervous he was. And sometimes when you're saying something that you really mean in front of people and maybe people don't want to hear about it, it does make it harder and you get more of that nervous energy. I mean, I've had that happen to me plenty of times. I'm sure other people have had that too. But, the more you do it, the less you have that problem. But, again, Hurricane Ida, they introduced it on the 239th day of the year as Tropical Storm Ida, saying it would probably be a devastating storm and make landfall this Sunday, and we mapped it all out then. I put up the video. But remember, 239 is the 52nd prime number, and Hurricane is 52, and Katrina is 52, and Flood is 52, and Earth is 52, and Enlil is 52, the Babylonian god of flooding. Look at Enlil, 52, 25, 83, 29. Now remember, we're on the 29th, right? We're on the 29th. Flood, the only one it's missing is the 29, but it's got the 52, 25, 83. The Babylonian god of flooding is Enlil. Okay? Earth, the biblical story of Earth and the flood, right? And again, do the world powers, the powers shouldn't be, are they part of a network that's thousands of years old that knows the true cycles and the true nature? Is the Earth on a 500-year pattern, as many people contend? There's people who say every 500 years similar events happen. Major shifts with the Earth, major flooding. The Earth has some kind of 500-year cycle. How can we, as people who don't even on average live to 100, how can we know that when we live in a world of confusion? But who could know that? An organized society that maintains power and knowledge and uses that power and knowledge to their advantage, including saying, if you know that global warming is really just part of this 500-year cycle and you know that we're approaching that time, you can start creating all these reasons and supposed science for why it's truly happening and then say, see, we know the way to go around it. That's why we're going to charge you carbon tax credits and make more money off you and then tell you that we're putting that towards solving the world, but then at the same time report like maybe we've gone too far. You know what I mean? It's just, you guys, what I'm saying is the people who run this world, they are organized. They do have the knowledge, and that's why they do stuff like this. This knowledge of letters and numbers goes back to Babylon as well. And there's a belief that this is God's code. If it's really God's code, then are they truly using the knowledge of God to empower themselves for these, tyrannical agendas that are only at the end of the day good for them while everybody else suffers more and more? And again, these are the kind of things that I'm trying to get people to think about. Okay, if this is being done, why and by who? And it's so clear, you guys, it's the Jesuits. In the 16th century, the Jesuits came to serve the Holy Roman Catholic Church. About 50 years later, English is standardized as a 26-letter alphabet, a language that's credited to a Catholic monk, English. The calendar, it comes out at the same time, which is credited to the Pope Gregory, and heliocentrism becomes the scientific model. And when you look at the way the language is all synced up, from the zodiac to the days on Earth to the rituals that go on day after day, it's so obvious that this is what they did. They built a system, that's based on the stars above and what they have taking place here in the most ritualistic of ways, and every day they're coding it out perfectly, and you look at it and you're like, wow, what they're doing is biblical. These people are manipulating the world. And with regards to today, again, the military admitted to weather warfare in 1952, the same number. And for you guys who are new here, I just want to go back to something. I've shown this a million times. I'll show it again. Vice News. They wrote a hit piece on me, and it was titled so nicely, "Wacko YouTuber Proves World Series Was Rigged." And it was written by a guy named Sean Newell. And I'm just going to show you that they chose this pawn whose name equals 52. Whoops. Here, I'll write it out. Sean, I thought I copied and pasted it. But Sean Newell is 52, the author of this article. And again, he writes this hit piece making fun of my correct prediction, which was one of many at the time that had already come through showing this knowledge. But we were able to show why Matt Harvey became the first pitcher to pitch in Houston, Texas after the flooding of Harvey exactly 52 days before the start of the World Series. And I said right there, I already seen enough. The Astros are winning the World Series and they're going to beat the Dodgers. We thought the Dodgers were probably going to be there all year. Astros were my team to play the Cubs the year before. The year before that, we had the Cubs winning the World Series before the season even began. 108 years. Major League equals 108 double stitches. There's a lot more to these numbers too, but the year before I thought it was going to be Cubs-Astros in the 112th World Series because Houston's won 12. When Houston was out, I said why it'd be the Cleveland Indians before the playoffs even began. In Game 7. Dead on. But then the next year, we were looking for the teams. Astros were in the mix. It was harder the next year to see what it was. We were able to do it from spring training the year before. The next year, it took me until to feel certain about the World Series. It was this time, the year of Harvey, 2017, where I said Astros over Dodgers. The Matt Harvey thing happened. It was, it was a wrap. And we were dead on about the prediction. And this article gets written, making fun of my work of explaining the meaning of 52 and how the whole world of sports is rigged and scripted. Back then I was explaining, at the same time I was explaining, look at the Saints winning Super Bowl 44 after what happened with Katrina on a 44 date numerology in the time of their mayor who was Mr. 44, And by the way, before Harvey flooded on the date it did, we said to look out for flooding that day, days in advance, because that was the 239th day of the year, the 52nd prime, plus it was 8/27/17, 8 plus 27 plus 17, 52. We already knew what was up with 52. We've been documenting weather warfare in 52 for a long time. We'd gone back and looked at things like Katrina, Katrina 52, something that made no sense. And it really did. Katrina made no sense that the media could scare about this storm for a whole week and then the government could say they had no clue that was going to happen and they were just totally caught off guard. It's like, what, should we just make the government CNN? It's kind of a joke because CNN is the government. The fourth branch of government, the one they forget to teach you about in slave schools, the propaganda wing, the mainstream media, the one that has the biggest impact, controls everyone's brain. But yeah, I think I'm making the point clear, right? The first black coach in a big Jesuit ritual last year at this time, doing things in cycles by a code, Kanye West, Society of Jesus. Jesuit means Society of Jesus. Here, you see how when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Hurricanes 56? The year that Astros won the World Series after Harvey, that was their 56th season, right? When you write out natural disaster, it also has that 56 in it. We'll see how bad this is for Louisiana, but just keep in mind we're in the time of the 56th governor of Louisiana, John Bell Edwards. Chicago and Seattle, two major cities that both happen to be in the time of the 56th mayor in the time of coronavirus, and those were the first two cities where coronavirus showed up in the U.S. Seattle's a major Jesuit stronghold, so is Chicago. And you think about Bill Gates, married to the Jesuit Melinda Gates, who's building Jesuit high schools in Chicago, who's from Seattle, But, again, the Jesuits are a military order, and in their logo is the Templar cross, like the Red Cross. When Kanye West spoke out, it was at an event sponsored by the Red Cross, a telethon to raise money for the Katrina victims. By the way, that reminds me, I forgot to tell you about the second thing I remember from Katrina. I was looking for an excuse to get out of the real estate thing I was in because I could already see that it was a dishonest gig. And I signed up with the Red Cross to volunteer to go down to Katrina for however long, you could check the boxes. I said I'd go down there for as long as needed to help out with the tragedy. I felt so bad. I wanted to be a part of it. I thought, God, what if... And you know what? The Red Cross never contacted me once. I thought, what's the point of even doing this? Telling you where to go online to sign up. They need volunteers now. I was on it. I did it right away. Boom, boom, boom. Never got a call once. How could you not want an able-bodied 20-year-old who's willing to go down there and help out with supposedly your volunteer effort? Again, what these organizations do is they act like they're doing something and just take your money. And again, the Red Cross will even tell you in the fine print that over 80% of the donation you make to them goes to their bureaucracy. So again, if you donated $100, over $80 of that would go to the Red Cross and, advertising and their employees. And, if you donated $10, almost $2 would make it to the donor, But remember, the Red Cross is the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar is military order of the Catholic Church. Jesuit order is military order of the Catholic Church. Militaries admitting to weather warfare in 1952 in the UK Royal Air Force, where the Jesuits took over the world from. The reason the sun never sets on Britain, the U.S. is British, you guys. We never got free. That's bullshit history. Again, we're all part of the big Jesuit, British, Catholic empire, if you will. And there's probably only a few places on Earth that aren't at this day and age. Afghanistan might be one of those places, because they say Afghanistan's really like 1,000 different governments. It's a tribal country. And again, it's all divided over religion, because that's what religion does. Some people say Islam's a religion that comes from the Catholic Church. I don't know that that's true. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. I mean, this is the people concentrated on creating groups of people, dividing people, keeping them fighting over the same stuff. This is their game. United we stand, divided we fall. I guarantee you they gave us that motto. They knew it's a sick joke. Yeah, and we'll always keep you divided and in fear and cowardly and enslaved, and we'll keep telling you you're free and brave. You'll love it. Along with our soda. All the things Americans are addicted to that pacify them. Sweet sugar, cushy couches, fancy flat screens. Coming back to the whole Kanye West, his mother, again, just want to make a point. Water flooding, birth, broken water, broken levees, flooding water. In Gematria, water is 67 like Ida. Outside of the base ciphers, most important cipher, Jewish Gematria, female 67. We've talked about this many times. International Women's Day is the 67th day of the year, except for in leap years. Then it becomes the 68th day. But it's March 8th, the 67th day of the year, and March 8th, right? March 8th. What's the ultimate quality about being a woman? That you have the ability to bring life into the world. That's what makes women very special. They bring the life. They can't do it without a man. Well, sort of in a way they can now, right? You can go to like a sperm bank and get inseminated. God, what a world we live in, man. You used to not be able to. Pretty soon. Wouldn't it be something if that's like the future world and the women, they think they're like, they go to get a pick from some database, what they want their baby, what kind of features do they want. It's already this way in some ways, isn't it? But what if they weren't, not in the fine print, what they weren't realizing is that through all these options, the one thing that they don't get to choose is how retarded their child's going to be, because they make sure only dummies are coming in the world. They need nice, dumb people that are so easy to control. Can't have any more of these wild childs and rabble-rousers. They just need a bunch of compliant morons to march right along, because having humanity at 90%, that way is still not good enough. Still people like yours truly in the world. But, the whole 67 female thing. And then March 8th, again, that day can be written 8-3, right? 83, 83, Mother 83, flood, the Bible, the stars above, flesh and bones. I'm telling you, all this stuff is connected, you realize, when you understand the code behind the language. If you haven't read the first chapter of my first book, Letters and Numbers, it'll blow your mind. There's a lot of important stuff that most of you don't know about at all because you never read the chapter of the book. And the reason I don't talk about it is because then, it takes away what's special about reading that. You would not believe your eyes, It all lines up and makes way too much sense. By the way, just the way Wikipedia does, for their International Women's Day post, they have a picture from Germany, right? From 1914 International Women's Day. You want to know why they do Germany? It's simple. Germany, 8338, March 8th, written 8-3 or 3-8, right? Actually, you see the 34 as well? Look at Mother. Mother, got the 34 also. Women, mothers. Also, if you've read my first book, you know the significance of the number 53 in the feminine. Today is the 241st day of the year. 241 is the 53rd prime number, and 53 is the 16th prime number. And here we are on the 16-year anniversary of the flooding of Louisiana from Katrina, right? So on the 16-year anniversary, 53 is the 16th prime, 241 is the 53rd prime. Today's the 241st day of the year. Prime numbers. Getting a big part. You know, this morning's presentation, like almost every presentation, reminding about how important prime numbers are. And the thing is, you know, birth, womb. The Vesica Pisces in sacred geometry is known as the womb of the universe, right? So today, Kanye West has this album in tribute to his mother, right? Breaking Water, Flood, Katrina, Anniversary. So again, Vesica Pisces is 53. That's also the shape of the football. Remember, Super Bowl 53 had 16 points in it. The Patriots beat Los Angeles. Patriots equals 53, Los Angeles 53. We had that Super Bowl right before the season began because it was so obvious. And just the other night, 16 innings in LA for a baseball game, ended at like 1 a.m. local time. 16 innings, you know what the score was? 5-3, Los Angeles. They better win. We thought Los Angeles was golden that day. But yeah, it's just so obvious, you guys. And this is all in the beginning chapters of my first book. I mean, you read the first 100 pages, you easily covered all this stuff. So just the same repetitive patterns, the same repetitive rituals, days, numbers, biblical code, prime number relationships, you know. And again, you know, picking on black people just so much. You see how Georgetown University, 27 years, right? They got that in the story. 27 years. You come back to the Kanye West story. You know, how many songs are on it? 27 tracks, right? 27. Another number they love. Why? Because ritual equals 27 in the most pure cipher. That's why you got the 27 club with musicians. These are all rituals, you know? The first member of the Rolling Stone, dead at age 27 on 7/3. Rolling Stones equals 73, like Sacrifice. This year, the drummer dies on a 73 date numerology. 83 days after his own birthday. Murder 83. Murder by Numbers, the song came out in 83. You know, and with regards to 83 and murder, you know, that could be what's going to happen today to a lot of people in Louisiana effectively. And some people will say, well, it's their fault. It's their fault they died. They should have left. They were warned by the TV. I understand why people don't leave. I understand why people don't leave their homes. You know, how many times were they told it was going to be so bad and then it was almost nothing? You know, governor on TV all day about how this could be the worst. And then everyone's like, it was hardly even anything. It's like, what in the fuck, man? You can't be so off with your estimate and your fear-mongering all day. You guys, they're doing this on purpose. See, Sweet Lady always brings up the point, too. And again, this is still no reason to go out and get the vaccine, but she's like, how do you know that, like, since maybe all they want are compliant people, that they aren't going to unleash some serious shit, and if you don't have the vaccine, it is really going to fuck you up. You know, she doesn't word it that way, but that's what she's saying. Sweet Lady doesn't talk like that. She's sweet. But, I mean, it's a thought, but I'd still never comply with their agenda. And I said also the other thing is like the clues that have been given, like Bill Gates saying we can do a good job reducing population with vaccines. I mean, that clue's been given. So there's a big reason for me not to do it because I'm listening to what they're saying. They tell us the truth right in front of our face and expect us not to connect the dots. And again, I mean, they're telling people in the poorest communities to go get out the vaccine they need it the most. That should also tell you. You know, Henry Kissinger types have been running D.C. saying how there's too much poverty and needless people on this earth that are just a burden, you know. And you got Agenda 2030 where they said their goal is to eliminate all poverty. Sounds great, but these are psychopaths. Do you think you know what they mean when they say eliminate all poverty? I guarantee their definition for eliminating poverty is one of two things. It's one or the other. It's either just kill all the impoverished people because we don't need them anyway. They're just needless. Or two, it's make everybody so fucking poor that poverty is just normal. And then that's not poverty anymore. That's just normal. Normal's just now living a life of squalor. It's not poverty. That's normal. That's just, the new normal. So it's one of those. It's one of two. It could be a bit of both. It could be a bit of both as well. Get rid of some people and make everybody live in squalor. Who still remains. But yeah, murder by numbers, you guys. Don't ever forget this movie poster. The E, the 3, the B, the 8. No other letters changed to numbers. Murder 3883. The song Murder by Numbers came out in 83. Germany 8338. The biggest, craziest killer there ever was. The Jesuit pawn Adolf Hitler. Yeah. Adolf Hitler. 56 in the most pure cipher. Like Society of Jesus, who protected him his whole life. Many people say in Argentina, where the first Jesuit pope is from, Pope Francis. But Adolf Hitler, one of those great historical stories, he committed suicide, but no one ever found his body. Why not believe it? It's in a history book. You're used to believing You're used to believing bullshit in books. Your whole life's based on it. Your whole spirituality is based on it. Your whole understanding of this world's based on believing in bullshit in books that you've been told since you were a little kid you better believe in or you're a bad person. And who told you that? Some fear-loaded dummy? It sure is who told you that shit. I had fear-loaded dummies in my life, and they were telling me the same shit. I just had the courage to say, you're full of shit, and I don't care. I'm not going to live in fear because of your bullshit fear-mongering. But that's what the whole world is, bullshit fear-mongering. From Adolf Hitler to everything else. Adolf Hitler was another puppet boogeyman. Again, a story that doesn't make any sense. How did Germany become such a military superpower to take over the world? Who financed that? Germany was broke from World War I. They were made to pay reparations for all of Europe. They had no money. They were in debt. They had nothing going. Then Adolf Hitler comes out of the woodwork, and all of a sudden they got all this limitless funding to have a military so big they can take on all of Europe. How? How's that story make any sense? Doesn't make any sense. Just like it doesn't make any sense he committed suicide and nobody found his body. Here, I'll tell you another story that doesn't make any sense that equals 56. Coronavirus. There's one that doesn't make any sense. How about toilet paper? Coronavirus is going to cause all the toilet paper to sell out? Who would even listen to shit like this? Mind control 56. All-seeing eye, the mind's eye. And by the way, with regards to 56 and Kanye West, Paris, France is 56, right? Doesn't he have that song with Jay-Z? Ends in Paris. I heard Neo the hacker and his buddy See Through the Matrix say that if you slow it down and play it loud enough, you can hear in the background somebody screams out, "We killed Tupac," on the Ends in Paris song. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, it makes sense. Again, the Jesuits are from Paris, France. The Machiavelli album that came out after Tupac's death came out on Remember the 5th of November, the big Jesuit day, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. Same day London was locked down last year for coronavirus. But with regards to rappers and Jesus, if you're new here, everybody has to know this one. Machiavelli, how Tupac played the spell on Machiavelli. Remember, Machiavelli faked his death. His birthday is May 3rd. When Tupac's mother died, that news broke on May 3rd. She reportedly died May 2nd, but nobody had a headline about it until Monday, May 3rd. But, and again, on the real Machiavelli's birthday. But Machiavelli 74, Jesus 74, Cross 74, Messiah 74, Gospel 74, Parables 74. And rapper, of course, is 74. And they love to dress rappers up as Jesus, from Tupac to Kanye West. If you've never seen the Machiavelli cover for Tupac, it's a web search away. I'm pretty sure if you just type in Machiavelli, you'll get exactly what I'm talking about. So there it is, Tupac on the cross, right? They released this on November 5th, the day leaving 56 days left in the year, the Society of Jesus. Jesus died on the cross. The story of Jesus is the gospel. He's Messiah to the Christians. He spoke in parables, you see. And You know what's interesting with the whole, Jesus walks Kanye West character today, and this flood story, very biblical story. Katrina's also 74. And again, there's not much left of the physical description of Jesus in the Bible, but from what you can gather, his skin is darker. And in Revelation, when they describe his hair, when he returns in Revelation in this vision, his hair is white like wool. And again, a lot of white people will get up in arms if you say that the like wool is in any way implying that he could be of African American descent. And African American. That talk about programmed. I never used that phrase. That's where they came out. Of black descent, right? He obviously wouldn't have been of African American descent. I always love when Morgan Freeman said, "Do you want to be called European Americans?" to white people. It's like, exactly, man. Why are we creating all these silly words? And we know what's behind the gematria of those things. We talked about that many times. But anyway, just, Jesus. You would think he was, if Jesus was real, where do you get off? I mean, you can't just ignore that it does say like wool. No white people have hair like wool. I feel like if his hair was just white, there'd be a million ways to describe that it's white without saying like wool. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. Man, I wonder what color that would look. You think it would look white? And his voice is the sound of many waters. I mean, you guys, just like and all this biblical knowledge is from the part of the world where people are darker complected. I mean, maybe he's not African. I've met some Indian people. Obviously, their hair's not like wool like black people, but it's a little bit more curly. It's like, and it makes sense. I mean, if we're all like ancestors of each other, the Indians look a little more like the Africans. You get further away, the skin gets a little more pale, Asian looking, further away from that, you get Caucasian, whiter. I don't know how it happened. In the beginning of the Bible, it says mankind's made in the image of the gods, plural. And who knows? Maybe maybe we are in the image of the gods, and there's some gods that look black, white, Asian, Hispanic. I don't know. I don't claim to know all this stuff, but I do think there's a creative force. Is it one god? Is it a group of gods? I don't think these are the kind of things that the gods would be concerned about. I think they're more concerned in like, okay, we gave them a mind, a soul, a body, the ability to know right and wrong. And it kind of feels like that's the game, is like, let's see how long they can stay right in a world full of temptation. I mean, sometimes I wonder if these gods, if that is what it is, like to fuck with us. Maybe they do. Have you ever done something great for somebody in the world and then just life just delivers you shit? I had this happen to me a million times. It's like, why is it that I keep doing great things for people and bad shit keeps happening to me? What's that about? Never made me stop doing good things. I just like, well, maybe that's the way God tests you. See if you'll quit. You'll quit doing good things because bad stuff keeps happening to you. Again, there's no reason to quit doing good things in the world. The world needs good things. So... But yeah, a lot of white Christians get up in arms about, that this could possibly mean that he was black. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as flame of fire. You ever seen an old black man? I mean, sounds about right. And his feet like unto fine brass as if they burned in a furnace. I love that part. I mean, what other color could he be, man? I just come on. And again, the oldest person in the Old Testament is Methuselah, who's clearly black. He has an albino child. I don't know what other race he could be if he's weirded out by this albino child, Where's Jesus from? Jesus from Judea? I don't know, man. And don't forget, before they put Israel where they put it, they were going to put it in Africa. They were going to put it in Africa. So there's no evidence that the original Jewish temples were in Jerusalem, where they call Temple Mount. And again, Temple Mount, you guys. Let me show you something about Temple Mount. That name, where they want to mount the third temple. Temple Mount's 46 and 53, right? Religiously contested area. Religion's 53 and 46, right? And Catholic has got the 46 and the 35. JFK, number 35, killed at age 46. Again, 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, 145 more chapters in it than the Protestant Bible. Israel created on 14/5. Jesuit Catholic creation. Again, if they're fulfilling prophecy, you need a land of the false Jews, like the letter written to the Church of Philadelphia in the Bible about the false Jews, the synagogue of Satan. So our whole understanding of the world's people and the religious historical past, it's all been distorted. The real Jews are clearly, it doesn't mean that every black person is, but I mean, those are the real historical Jews, the people that still have that ancestry, that lineage, and we don't even really think of black people as Jewish. And Jewish wasn't the word back then, Hebrew, of Judea. We know what's behind Jewish in Gematria as well. It's another 74 word, like English, like Gematria, Jewish practice. And it reminds that the Jesuits are Catholics who converted from Judaism and brought with it all this understanding of Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah. And how many entertainers have gone into Kabbalah, I don't even, there might be a Kanye West Kabbalah story out there. I don't know. I don't keep up with all this tabloid crap, but there's been plenty of entertainers, from Madonna to, what's that little singer girl's name? Her rapper boyfriend died on the anniversary of Tupac getting shot. On the same day, LeBron James and Kevin Durant put out It Ain't Easy on the anniversary of Eazy-E, who died in a big Jesuit ritual. It's his birthday. Same day Tupac got shot. All this stuff's so related. Yeah, and thinking more about the Tupac Eazy-E connection, Tupac getting shot on Eazy-E's birthday. Tupac did the song with Bone Thugs and Harmony where he's acting like he's the biggest gangster there ever was. I just remember that song exists. I'm sure that's all connected. So, because Bone Thugs and Harmony were created by Eazy-E on his nicely named record label, Ruthless Records. I'll tell you who's ruthless is these Jesuit. Again, Eazy-E's another big 201. He died 201 days after his birthday. The favorite number of the Jesuits. But, I don't think it could be any more clear, you guys. And I think what I'm going to do now is I am going to play the clip of these men talking what Kanye said on September 2nd. Remember why he said it on 2/9 after the flood on 29, Black 29. But, by the way, from Donda West, from her birthday, what would have been her birthday, July 12th, to this day, release of this song in tribute to her is 48 days later. Kanye West and Donda West, 48. Illuminati has that Gematria 48. And remember, the Illuminati, Order of Illuminati, the official title of the original Illuminati created by Adam Weishaupt, Order of Illuminati equals 201, like the Jesuit order. And again, Adam Weishaupt, the founder, died 201 days after the anniversary of the establishment. But remember, he was a Jesuit, the founder of the Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt was a Jesuit. And the Jesuits, again, are from Paris, France. And you got Kanye West and Jay-Z with the song, Ends in Paris. And of course, Jay-Z used to be Rockefeller Records, a play on Rockefeller, the Jesuit family. And remember when the Rockefellers launched Standard Oil, where's my post? Right here. When the Rockefellers announced or launched Standard Oil, their original logo in 1870 had in Latin Society of Jesus with the Catholic, cross up here. I mean, and again, in Gematria, Rockefeller 56, like Paris, France, like Society of Jesus. That's Society of Jesus in Latin right there. And again, the Rockefellers went into vaccines. Bill Gates' vaccine came out while his Jesuit wife, Melinda Gates, was 56 years old. COVID vaccine, coronavirus 56. Or COVID vaccine and coronavirus both equal 56. By the way, this logo came out in 1870, 1870. Rockefeller, Washington, D.C., Paris, France, Society of Jesus. The Rockefellers, they've been all over in politics, even though Oval Office, VP. I mean, again, you guys, this is the Jesuit cabal. And Kanye West, he's a chosen puppet of theirs. Again, the Jesuits are big in Chicago. So they're even bigger at Georgetown. And again, John Thompson, he could tell you all about it, but he's not here anymore. So Kanye West will be lucky if he lives to be 78. Better look out now, honestly. All right, let's go back and play this clip. This was archived by Democracy Now!, the news organization paid for by George Soros that would never talk about Gematria, but here we go. September 2nd, 2005.
With the breach of 3 levees protecting New Orleans, the landscape of the city has changed dramatically, tragically, and perhaps irreversibly. There's now over 25 feet of water where there was once city streets and thriving neighborhoods.
Again, there's over 25 feet of water. Remember what we covered on March 8th of this year. March 8th, the day that can be written 8-3, Hawaii had really bad flooding that day, and it was reported that it was the worst flooding for Hawaii in 25 years. Flood has the gematria 25 and 83, right? New Orleans, Louisiana, 83. Reading from the teleprompter, 25 feet of water. Always speaking in code, reporting in death tallies in code. It's so obvious. And remember, you guys, Kabbalah, the cabal, which means the secret political faction. Kabul, established in 1776, the same year as the Bavarian Illuminati, the same year as this nation, you see? See how all this stuff is connected? It's all symbolic. It's all ritual. Watch this.
I hate the way they portray us in the media. If you see a black family, it says they're looting. If you see a white family, it says they're looking for food. And you know it's been 5 days because most of the people are black. And even for me to complain about, I would be a hypocrite because I've tried to turn away from the TV because it's too hard to watch. I've even been shopping before even giving a donation. So now I'm calling my business manager right now to see what is the biggest amount I can give, and just to imagine if I was down there, and those are my people down there. So anybody out there that wants to do anything that we can help with the setup, the way America is set up to help the poor, the black people, the less well off as slow as possible. I mean, this is Red Cross is doing everything they can. We already realize a lot of the people that could help.
And notice in his diatribe, he gives a shout out to the Red Cross, though, an organization that truly does rip off people with every tragedy. And again, it's just so obvious where their symbolism comes from. The same gang that's doing this to us. So, and you could say, well, he's a young person. He doesn't understand that yet, but he does understand the racism in the media. That's clear. Okay, possible. But again, I'm telling you, the only reason he's even on the stage, the only reason he's on the stage is because they wanted him there. They wanted him there to make the big news story that was at the time when this happened. And he hasn't got to the big line yet, but here we come.
Are at war right now, fighting another way, and they've given them permission to go down and shoot us.
And subtle, but in even many ways more profoundly devastating, is the lasting damage to the survivors' will to rebuild and remain in the area. The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
That was Kanye West. And this is President Bush, who later wrote in his memoir that this moment was an all-time low of his presidency. He spoke about it in a 2010 interview with NBC's Matt Lauer.
I didn't appreciate it then. I don't appreciate it now. It's one thing to say, I don't appreciate the way he's handled his business. It's another thing to say this man's a racist. I resent it. It's not true. And it was one of the most disgusting moments of my presidency.
Okay, and the way he's talking about with that tone, that's kind of like how Fox News covered at the time, too. How disgusting of this rapper to say that and make that assertion. He's not a racist man at all. Here's a picture of him with a token black guy. You know what I mean? That's like how it was. Yeah, but remember who the Bushes are. They're members of Skull and Bones gets their symbolism from the Knights Templar, and the Templar cross is in the Jesuit logo, and here we are all these years later on a Sunday. And again, just the fact that they have him next to Mike Myers, a name associated, with Michael Myers, the serial killer from the movie series. You see how Michael Myers is 193, the 44th prime number? Kill is 44. We call the Secretary of Defense in this nation, the head of the military, Secretary of Defense 193. military 44, soldier 44, infantry 44. Whoops, I got to spell it right. Infantry 44, trooper 44, officer 44. Again, kills 44, executions 44. These are numbers connected to killing. The Saints, win Super Bowl 44 after Katrina goes down on the 44 date numerology, now on the anniversary of this Kanye West ritual in tribute to his mother, who was likely killed by the code. And again, while he's 44 years old, after standing next to Michael Myers to talk about, how black people are being targeted on the 29th. Well, the Katrina was the 29th. The album comes out on the 29th. His remarks were on September 2nd, 2/9. So, you guys see how black is 106? Look at Black Lives Matter 106. Look at I Can't Breathe 106. Again, weather warfare rituals. Last year, September 11th, 2020, we had the date circled a month in advance. We said, watch, there'll be really bad news in Portland, Oregon on September 11th, the 106th day of the longest Black Lives Matter protest in the nation, the same day the George Floyd murder pretrial begins. And that day, the forests around Portland burned all over, and they had the worst air quality in the history of the world because of the massive fires outside the city on the 106th day of the I Can't Breathe protests. You see what I mean? They'll burn your forests down. They'll influence the weather and create, devastation in your city, and they'll blame it on Mother Nature and say, see, that's the reason you need to get behind our agendas. Send some more money to the Red Cross, give up more of your rights and liberties, pay more taxes. And again, you guys, they're able to do this because the manpower is not privy enough to see what's really going on. They're not able to say, wait a minute, weather warfare was admitted to all these years ago. These things aren't adding up. You know what? In fact, if they knew how to create flash flooding and bring moisture and rain, then why are we suffering from drought if the military has the technology to help bring rainfall to areas? Why are we allowing drought to happen? What else have they developed? Have they figured out how to break up maybe devastating rains that are too much? Again, these are the kind of questions people should have. If they figured out how to induce flash flooding in 52 as they admitted to, what can they do what is it, from 52 to 2021? That's 69 years later. Next year will be the 70-year anniversary. And who's to say they weren't doing this before 52? In Vietnam, we admitted to inducing flash flooding on the Vietnamese troops with Operation Popeye. This is all part of the historical record. And then, we get headlines about, man, this area is just so devastated. It needs rain so much. It's like, well, wait a minute. Well, why don't we just do what we did to Vietnam? So, anyway, you guys, Kanye West, he's a controlled dude, man. And that's why he had to wait to release his mom's album. And again, it was first announced that it was going to come out on 8/6. Gave a speech about Katrina, 86 days. We call that the symbol number like we talked about. But also at the same time, blood sacrifice 66, human sacrifice 86. To get rid of 86. Think about what we did to Hiroshima on August 6th, 8/6. Massive explosion, right? They say for 50 years we tested detonating explosives below ground and in the sky for the purposes of experiments, including weather warfare. How many storms recently have been referred to as nuclear storms? Go back and look at the headlines of all the nuclear storms that have been reported. It's like, what's that mean, a nuclear storm? They might still be detonate bombs high up in the atmosphere to influence the weather, to create more force, more energy. Again, the reason they do this is because they can relocate people. They can destroy people's land and then come in and buy it for cheap and redevelop it and make it more profitable for them. Plus, the banker tyrants will lend money to our governments after the emergency declarations that are, put out there by governors. And because, again, governments need money to repair. Bankers are right there to profit. All wars are bankers' wars. Great documentary out there. Weather warfare, absolutely. So Kanye West should make a remake to Gold Digger, but make it about the government. Talk about a gold digger, man. They figure out every way to do it. And don't forget what they did to us with Fort Knox on the day of the Great American Solar Eclipse. That was the first time Fort Knox was audited in forever by the Skull and Bones member Steve Mnuchin. But literally auditing the gold on the day of a total solar eclipse. Again, they get away with this mockery because people don't know the stuff they're into. In alchemy, the sun is gold. The moon is silver. So on the day that we can't see the sun, it's blocked out from a total eclipse, the first of its kind in 99 years as it crosses the whole nation. That's the day we audit the gold. What do you think the symbolism is? Do you think the symbolism is the gold's not there? The gold's all gone? Of course it was. In God we trust. Again, you guys really should read the first chapter of my book. I made it free. You could easily access the first book and read the first chapter. It's about the significance of 26. But I'll leave you with this. God equals 26, just like it does in Hebrew. Letter equals 26. Bank 26. In God we trust, right? It's interesting how the word lie equals 26. It's actually a lot like God. It's 26, 17, 55, like God. And I'm not saying that means God's a lie, but I think that's the way to play God. Just lie to people every day. Steer their lives based on lies. Give them an understanding of the world that's completely yours. You're like their God. They believe everything that you're putting out there. And instead of just looking at that as like a person, look at it as like an organization, a network, a Jesuit mafia. Got the world submitting to their lies in all ways, in all understandings, and just doing it all with surface level riddles. So I realize I got to do one more thing. Before I end this stream. I got to play Neo the Hacker's video. So let's do Neo's video. There it is. This guy's doing great work, you guys. You should support his channel, Neo the Hacker. And he's already getting his video censored. He was doing a great live stream last night. It's not there today. So I don't know what happened. But here, let's watch his video. He got everything but the flood connection. And I'm guessing it's because he's too young. I don't know how old he is, but I don't think he's... Part of the reason I think he's young is he doesn't know like some simple things that actually laugh. Like he's like, I don't know why they're calling this guy Dick. And I was like, did he look to see if his name's Richard? And then sure enough, he's showing that his name's Richard. He's like, I don't get the whole Dick thing. I'm like, he doesn't know that Richards are called Dicks. And then I started to realize, I'm like, well, nobody's really called Richard anymore. It's like an older name. It's like a name from my parents' generation. So there's plenty of Richards from that generation. Doesn't seem like many people have that name anymore, though. And Richards are commonly called Dicks. But anyway, I just realized that about him. I'm like, you got to be a younger person to not know that Richard is commonly called Dick as a nickname. But anyway, he does really great work. He's a great decoder. I'm pretty sure he's younger. And he nailed a million things in this video. Just missed the hurricane connection. So here we go. Let's watch Neo the Hacker.
All right, welcome back, YouTube. It is Neo the Hacker. Today is Sunday, August 29th, 2021. And before I jump into this video, I just want to give you guys a heads up. If you guys have been wondering where I've been at, I was out of town.
Okay, I just got to pause. I just noticed that the video was not liked. I already liked this video earlier today. So see, they even do it to him. This is what they do to the whole Gematria community. Censor views, take away likes, take away good comments. It's just so pathetic. Like, Google, it's just so pathetic, the fact that you have to take away likes from videos. God, it's pathetic. So I'll like it again. I'll probably be back here in 2 hours and it'll be gone again. It's been going on for years. This is nothing new.
For this past week, that's why I was not able to upload any content. But I am back, so expect to see more content dropping in the coming days. But in this video, what I want to discuss is Kanye West has finally released his album, Donda. And if you're not aware, this album is named after his late mother that passed away in 2007. And this is his 10th studio album. And he finally released it today after weeks of delay. So if you read this article again from CNN, Kanye West releases new album Donda after delay. After a delay in multiple listening events in recent weeks, Kanye West released his new studio album Donda on Sunday. The album includes contributions from Jay-Z, The Weeknd, Young Thug, Jay Electronica, The Lox, Travis Scott, and others. There are 27 tracks listed on the Spotify playlist for the album. The song Jail Part 2, which reportedly features DaBaby, is listed but not yet available. Donda was originally scheduled for release on July 22nd, following the first of 3 elaborate listening events. Okay, so yeah, Kanye has been doing these listening parties almost every other week or so, and he got everybody pumped up for the album, but again, he never released it until today. But in this video, I just want to show how this is synced up perfectly with his mother. Of course, like I said, this album is named after his late mother. and how the release of this album is not only synced up with his mother, but himself as well. So I want to start off with the date, right? Today, the album released on Sunday. Out of all the days, it released on a Sunday. And we'll get to all that in just a second. But today, of course, is the 29th day of the month, right? And this album is dedicated towards his mother. Mother in Gematria, as you can see, sums to 29. This album is released on the 29th day of the month. And of course, it's released on a Sunday. And in Gematria, Sunday, you'll notice it sums to 33, just like Kanye West. Kanye West in Gematria sums to 33. Not only that, his mother's name was Donda West. Donda West in Gematria sums to 33 in the same cipher as well. So again, just to recap, album released on a Sunday. Sunday sums to 33. Kanye West sums to 33. And Donda West sums to 33 as well. The album released 82 days after Kanye's birthday. So again, Kanye's birthday, he was born on June 8th, as you can see. So if you measure that, June 8th, his last birthday was 2021, and you look at the days, you'll notice that this album released 82 days after his birthday. The reason why the number 82 is interesting is because if you take Kanye's full name, his full name is Kanye Omari West. You'll notice that his full name, Kanye Omari West, sums to 82 in Gematria. This album releases 82 days after his birthday. If you count the span, you can say that this album released on the 83rd day of his age. And of course, the reason why the 83 is important is because, again, in Gematria, murder sums to 83, and so does mother. And again, there's no doubt in my mind that Kanye West did sacrifice his mother for his career. Mother in Gematria sums to 83, so does murder. 83. And this album released on the 83rd day of his age. You know? Also, speaking of 83, what's interesting about the number 83 is that 83 is a 23rd prime number, as you can see. And of course, like I said, this is his 10th studio album. In Gematria, when you spell out 10th, it sums to 23. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Also, coming back to Kanye's birthday, if you look at the weeks and the days, you'll notice that this album released 11 weeks and 5 days after Kanye's birthday, like 115. And again, in Gematria, killing sums to 115, just like 11 weeks and 5 days that this album is released after Kanye's birthday. If you look at Kanye's upcoming birthday, what you'll notice is his upcoming birthday would be June 8th, 2022. And if you look at the weeks, you'll notice that this album released 40 weeks before his upcoming birthday. And the reason why that's interesting is because, again, Mom sums to 40. This album is dedicated towards his mom. Mom sums to 40. This album releases 40 weeks before his upcoming birthday. Also, if you look at his mother's birthday, right? So his mother, Donda West, she was born on July 12, as you can see, right? So if you measure that, July 12, her last birthday would have been 2021. And if you look at the days, you'll notice that this album releases 48 days after his mother's birthday, after Donda's birthday. And what's interesting is, again, coming back to her name, Donda West. Her name sums to 48 in Gematria, and this album releases 48 days after her birthday. Not only that, Kanye West also sums to 48 as well. And what's interesting is how both of their name, Kanye West and Donda West, they both sum to 33 and they both sum to 48. I thought that was pretty interesting. But again, the album releases 48 days after his mother's birthday, Donda West 48, and Kanye West 48 as well. Now, his mother, Donda West, she was born, like I said, on July 12, 1949, right? So, July 12, 1949, you will notice that she would have been 72 years old. If she was still alive, she would have been 72 years old while this album is being released. And again, this album is dedicated towards her. What's interesting about the number 72 is, again,
I'm pretty sure he's going to miss one thing here. I'm pretty sure he misses the Jesuit order piece. Let's see. But Jesuit order 72, and they were created in Paris, France, August 15th, 1534. Date was 72 numerology. Big number at the Jesuits, 72.
And this album released on August 29th, right? You'll notice that August 29th in Gematria sums to 72. When you spell out the date that this album was released, August 29th, it sums to 72 in Gematria. The album is being released while his mother would have been 72 years old. Also, if you look at the death of his mother died on November 10th, 2007, as you can see. That was 13 years ago. So just to verify, November 10th, oops. November 10th, 2007. As you can see, that was 13 years ago. So this album releases 13 years after his mother died. And the reason why the number 13 is very important is because, again, this is an album being released. Album sums to 13 in Gematria. Mom sums to 13 in Gematria. West, the last name, sums to 13 in Gematria. And not only that, if you want to take it even further, human sacrifice in Gematria sums to 130, as you can see. But again, in numerology, if there's a 0, you can just go ahead and drop it. It does not have a value. So you can read 130 as 13 in numerology. Human sacrifice sums to 130 like 13. And again, just to recap, the album releases 13 years after his mother died. Album sums to 13. Mom sums to 13. West sums to 13. And human sacrifice sums to 13 as well. If you want to look at the anniversary of his mother's death, so if his mother died on November 10th, 2007, her last anniversary was 2020, right? And what you'll notice is if you look at the weeks, this album releases 41 weeks after the anniversary of his mother's death, right? And the reason why the number 41 is interesting is because, again, coming back to Gematria, Mom sums to 41, so does West. They both sum to 41 as well. And one last point is that the album releases 73 days before his mother's upcoming anniversary. So his mother's upcoming death anniversary would be November 10th, 2021. And if you look at the days, that is 73 days away. So this album releases 73 days before the upcoming anniversary of his mother's death. And what's interesting about the number 73 is, again, coming back to Gematria. Sacrifice in Gematria sums to 33. I'm sorry, sacrifice sums to 73. So does rituals.
I just want to make the point about 13, too. 13 is associated with the moon on the 13-month cycle. And, women being synced up with the moon and their periods. And, again, we're talking about his mother, right? Feminine, water. So, again, all of this stuff is time-related. All of these are rituals in time. Speaking of which, I think I forgot to point out, I must have forgot to put it in my slide, but Donda, the name of the album, 20 and 25. Look at Flood, 25 and 20, right? Time, 20 and 25. We covered why the 16-year anniversary and every other thing. Why today, 83rd day Kanye's age. All of this stuff is time-related. So 13 years, the moon. The moon is Mary to the Catholic Church, right? Very Catholic. It's Sunday, the sun and the moon. He's the sun, right? He's the sun. Kanye. He's Jesus Walks. All right, hold on. He's still got a couple more minutes there.
Sacrifice. Ritual sacrifice in Gematria sums to 73. And again, like I said, there's no doubt that Kanye West sacrificed his mother for fame. And now this album is being released by the numbers in tribute to the sacrifice he made for his career, sacrificing his mother. So that's all I have for this decode. There's probably a lot more to this. I didn't look into the track list or anything like that. CNN says there's 27 tracks. I'm not too sure about that because according to they updated it. Earlier it said 26 tracks, but now, I guess it is 27. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to this. And if you guys catch anything else that I might have missed, please feel free to comment it down below. Also, another thing I want to point out is I did get a new microphone for my streams that I'm doing right now. So if you guys can hear an improvement in the audio, please let me know. Let me know if my voice is too loud, if it's too low. And let me know how you guys like the new microphone. So decided that, maybe if I was going to take this seriously as far as decoding, might as well invest into a good quality mic. So let me know what you guys think of the new microphone. And that's all I have for this decode. Like I said, if you guys catch anything, feel free to comment it down below. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and end it right there. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Peace.
Okay, so he did a great job, just missing the flood piece, which is a big piece. But he nailed everything else, I would say. And, so Neo the Hacker. Definitely support his channel. Don't you hate how anytime a truth video ends, it's like what it does now. It goes to NBC News, like we all want to hear from Lester Holt. Sometimes I do like to watch like the first minute how they introduce today's news. I just half the time I'll be like, oh my god, man, just getting away with murder, these people. But yeah, those are the big things there, and most people will never connect it. So Kim Kardashian, speaking of 86 and Kanye's life, just to make a point about 86 and symbols, the Kardashian family. Kardashian is 86 and 41 in the same way, not symbol, but what is it? Pyramid? I'm tripping. Pyramid's 8641 is triangle. Triangle is, symbol is not quite 8623. But yeah, again, Kanye made his remarks about racism after Katrina, 86 days after his birthday, and the man's been used by a symbol ever since. He's like the man of controversy, right? He's the rapper who supports Donald Trump, the Jesuit puppet. So again, Joe Biden, Jesuit puppet, Donald Trump, Jesuit puppet, Kanye West, Jesuit puppet rapper. And yeah, again, it's like it's sad that humanity can't wrap their heads around a lot of this, because a lot of it's really simple to understand, and the weather warfare is a bit more complicated, but still, I'm explaining to you why they admitted to it in 1952 and why they keep doing this shit with the number over and over and over and over. And this storm is included, just as Katrina was included. Yeah, look up the Royal Air Force and their admission of the Lynmouth flood in 52. Things will start to make a lot of sense. And if you missed this morning's live stream on the meaning of 35 and why it's so important in the Catholic rituals, like the blowing up of the Kabul airport 35 weeks after Hamid Karzai, who it's named after, on a Thursday, definitely check out this morning's video. It's all about controlling the mind's eye of the masses, and that's what they're doing with these entertainers. Putting their symbols up in front of you all the time. Jay-Z, Jay-Z with his, his diamond hands. Rockefeller, Jesuits. So, anyway, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker, and until next time.